Joining us now with more, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. Senator, tell us what you're learning. It sounds Orwellian and chilling what they wanted to set up.
It is, Sean, and what they've done is they've lied to us. They have treated the American people like fools. You know, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, came before Congress and said, oh, the board never met. Don't worry, the board never met. Well, it turns out that's not true. They had a steering committee that was meeting for months, that was giving direction to other agencies of the government. We know they tried to set up a meeting with Twitter. We know that they were meeting with Facebook. We know that they were coordinating with liberal dark money groups. We've got the emails now where dark money groups from the left, these advocacy groups, are sending emails and instructions, memos, to this disinformation board and saying basically, here's what we think you ought to do, trying to influence their policy. It is the most unbelievable collusion that you can imagine, Sean, and they lied about all of it, and now they've said, oh, we're not doing it anymore. That's not true. What they're doing now is they've got all of these different agencies all across DHS, all across the FBI, other agencies of the government involved in this so-called disinformation, which is really censorship. Sean,
so let me see if I got this right.
And we're going to get the facts.
They told you that they didn't meet by May when, in fact, they started having meetings as early as February. And you now have the evidence that, in fact, they lied to you. Did they lie to you under oath?
Yeah, exactly. What happened was Secretary Mayorkas came and said in response to me, Sean, he said, oh, don't worry, the board, it never met. Well, in fact, the emails that they turned over finally to me and Senator Grassley showed that they had a steering committee, which was the executive committee of the board, meeting in February. They met on a weekly basis, Sean. They were giving instructions to other members of the government. They were communicating with liberal dark money groups. They were setting up meetings with Facebook and Twitter. So it's simply not true that they weren't meeting or doing anything. Of course they were. This administration just lied about it over and over again because, Sean, they don't think they have to tell the truth. They don't believe in the First Amendment.
What do we know about these dark money groups that funnel millions of dollars into Democratic advocacy groups? What do we know about it?
Well, what we know is that these groups, and one major group in particular, was actually sending memos to this disinformation board, apparently advocating for policy, sending it to them. Remember, this board supposedly doesn't even exist yet, and here you have the liberal dark money groups know all about it. They are emailing policy memos to the group, to the disinformation board, and saying, here's what you ought to do. So you have this collusion between the liberal big money interests, between big tech. We know that the disinformation board was setting up a special arrangement with the big tech companies so that they could meet and coordinate their censorship. It's unbelievable stuff, Sean, and this administration has lied about it at every turn.
Now, they said they disbanded this disinformation group, and you have evidence to the contrary that that is not true. They lied again?
Well, here's what they're doing, Sean. In fact, we know from a federal court lawsuit that is underway right now, a federal judge just ruled a few weeks ago that the Department of Homeland Security sits at the nerve center of federally directed censorship. That is a quote, at the nerve center of federally directed censorship. They have a whole operation, according to this judge, according to the facts presented in this case, and it involves DHS, it involves the FBI, it involves multiple other agencies that are using their power to track Americans, to conduct domestic censorship. Sean, I think it's illegal. I think it's unconstitutional, and we've got to get to the bottom of it and stop it.
I think this is the first time they will be held in check and held accountable. Senator Hawley, great job. Thanks for sharing that with us.